Hello everybody and welcome to the DIY and decorating workshop. And on today's how-to, I'm going to be showing you how to rewire a plug. So let's take a minute just to see the sort of equipment that we're going to be needing for this job. First of all, why would we need to rewire a plug? 3 reasons really. Number one, if your appliance doesn't come with a plug, some don't, so you're going to need to do it yourself. Another reason could be that the plug is cracked or chipped and it needs to be in pristine condition because we don't want to be mucking around with exposed wires. And the other reason is when those wires are exposed, the coloured wires, sometimes you'll see them poking out where they haven't been cut to the right length properly, and we don't want that. We need it all housed within this plug. So the equipment we're going to need is some wire strippers, a Phillips screwdriver, a precision flathead or a Phillips screwdriver, a pair of scissors or pliers stroke wire snips, the plug itself, and make sure the safety kite marks on it as well, and there's nothing wrong with it, a ruler that shows you the increments, I think that's the word, in millimetres. And if you're anything like me and you've got shocking eyesight when you're reading or something, or delicate word, don't forget your glasses. So without further ado, let's crack on. Okay, so let's have a little closer look. On most plugs these days that you can buy new, they have this very, very handy guide on what length wires you need, where they go, which is really, really handy. So don't throw that away, and we're going to keep that. And I'm just going to put that to the side because I'm going to use that in a minute. So we've got a few screws that need undoing first. So just get yourself a standard screwdriver. This is a Phillips crosshead. You can also use a flathead as well, but the Phillips one is a little bit easier to use. So just unscrew the middle one first. That takes the back off, the front off. Oh, that's got a little sticker on it there. Take that off, make it a bit easier. And then inside you can see all the gubbins. This here is the fuse. And then you've got the little terminal points here where your wires are going to go. And then these 2 screws here are holding this little cord grip here, grip cord. Cord grip, cord grip, cord grip. That keeps the wires from falling back out. So we're going to need to undo that. With these 2 little screws. They are a little bit tight, so we'll just take that off. I find it's just easier to undo them both. Oh, that's a bit tricky. Undo them both and get it out of the way. Oh, that's tight. And the only thing the most difficult thing about rewiring a plug is it's just fiddly, absolutely fiddly. Anyway, so put your screws to one side and keep them nice and safe. Okay, so now we're going to look at the wires. Okay, so I've got some wires here for you. Let me just tap that screen there. I'm just there. I've got my phone in front of me on selfie mode so I can see that I'm actually in the shot, and it just went dead. Anyway, so number one, we have to cut off some of this outside rubber flex here, this plastic flex. So what we're going to do, we're going to use these clippers here and we're going to push that in like that. And we're going to squeeze, and it beautifully just cuts that wire, really easy, and you can just pull that off like that, and we are good to go. Okay, so now we've got our smaller exposed wires. The blue wire, now this is important, the blue wire is the neutral, which is represented by the letter N. I'll show you this. So the blue is the neutral wire. The yellow and green is the earth wire. And the brown is the live wire. Okay, so you've got to make sure that the right colour goes into the right terminal. Okay, we've got our guide here, so we know exactly where we need to be. Blue goes into the neutral, yellow green goes into the earth, and the live goes into the brown, goes into the live terminal here. Okay, so you've got the correct letters, the N, neutral, E, earth, L, live. Pretty simple. Okay, back to our wires. Now, on this handy little chart, another difficult thing is cutting these smaller wires to the right length. And it tells you on here exactly what length you need it to be. So I'm just going to check that's in focus. Yeah, I think it is. So the longest one is this earth wire, and it says here 32 millimeters. And then just there, you want an extra 6 mil of exposed wire. So that's the longest wire. So let's cut that first. So we put our other wires out the way. We get our ruler. It's a bit of a cumbersome one here. And I'm just going to measure what I need. So what did it say again? 32 mil. So 32 mil is there. Sorry, it's upside down. But what I'd like is another 10 mil added onto that. Well, actually 12 mil, because they want a 6 mil of wire. And I like to double over my wire. So whatever it says, 32 mil, add on another 10 mil, which gives us 44 millimeters. So that is where I'm going to cut my wire. So with your wire cutters or a pair of scissors, you're just going to cut the wire there, nice and easy. Okay, now with our wire strippers, we're just going to put that in 12 mil, more or less, give or take the odd mil. And we are going to do exactly the same as we did with the outside plastic and expose that wire. So now we should have a 32 millimeter of the covered wire, pretty much. And then we've got a good 10 mil of the exposed wire. Okay, what I like to do is to get a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Connection in your, I've forgotten what they're called. I've just had it. In these points here, I like to bend it in half. So make a little bend with your nail, push that over and give it a couple of twists just to hold it in place. And that's more or less the 6 mil that they're saying you need required. So being anal, let's just see if that is 6 mil. And that is bang on. You don't need to see it. It's upside down, but that is bang on 6 mil. Okay, you don't have to be absolutely exact. So that's our first wire cut. So now let's look at what we've got here. So we're going to do the blue, and they're saying the blue is 22 millimeters. So let's measure it to 22 mil, which is there. Again, we're going to add on another 12 mil, or 12 mil, 10 mil, 12 mil, about, which gives us about there, 34, and we're going to cut that little piece there with our scissors. Pop that. Again, we're going to take about 12 mil off, 10 to 12 mil off, with our wire cutters. We just pop it in there, get it to how much we want, about there, and just snip that off and reveal. And again, we're just going to pinch that with our nail, fold it over, and give it a couple of twists. Now, the last one we've got to do is the live wire, which is the brown, and they're recommending 12 mil. So a lot shorter, this one, because it's got a shorter distance to go to the terminal. That's what they're called, terminal. Right, ruler. So what did it say? 12 mil. So 12 mil is there, plus it needs another 12 mil on top, like we were doing. So, 12 mil, so that's 24. So we're going to cut it about there. This is quite a fiddly job. Get those wires out the way. This is going to be the tricky bit, trying to get 10 mil exposed from here. So just in there, snip it off, again, with your nail, and give it a couple of twists. So here we are. So we have our wires cut to the lengths that they are recommending on this little guide sheet. Now we've got to get these in this. Now this is the really fiddly part. Okay, so a couple of things to make the job a little bit easier. You need a precision screwdriver because these are tiny little screws. So we're going to undo all the screws. Ugh, these are tight because they haven't been unscrewed. So unscrew there. Let's give them all a helping hand. Anyway, so I find it, number one, let's get rid of that fuse. Let's just take that out. One less thing to inhibit us. So we just pull that out. So let's put the neutral in first, shall we? Which is the blue. Okay. So let's get that blue wire in. Oh, it's just popped out. This is just not going to be very easy at all to show you. So I'm just going to poke that out, undo that screw there. So at this point, I'm going to make sure that the main part of the wire, this white part, is inside the plug. Okay, that's really important because if you've got the wires exposed, they could get damaged at any point and then you're going to have problems. So we're going to make sure that about 1 centimetre of that wire is inside the plug. Okay, and at this point, we're going to just bend our blue wire, which is our neutral, and it's going to go, sorry, this is really fiddly. Sometimes I just think it's easier to take this out completely, slip it in the back there like that, make sure that it's fully in, okay, you don't want any copper wire exposed, and you don't want it poking out the back, so you've got to make sure that it is definitely the right length, which is the 6 mil. Okay, so we're just going to tighten that up. Where have I got a screwdriver? We're just going to tighten that up like so. And that's nice and sturdy. That's not coming out. Okay, and then we can just place that back in. Pop that in there. Okay, so still concentrating that the wire is still in. The next one we're going to do is the live wire to the live terminal. And again, the good thing is this one just pops out and we're going to do exactly the same. Okay, so we're going to undo that screw so you can see in and get the wire in that hole. This is going to go in forwards, not behind like you did on this one. So make sure that you get it correct. You know, remember you've got the guide to guide you. That's what a guide does, it guides you. We're going to pop that in, make sure it's properly in. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Tighten it up like so, nice and tight. You don't want that falling out. Oh, that's maybe a bit too far in. I can't see with my big fat fingers. And just pull that out. That's it. That's a little bit better. Nice and tight. So it's in. Just push that down back into position. And then the last one we've got to do is the earth wire. Now, oh, crikey, that's hard work. So I think at this point, to keep that stuck in, I'm going to put the fuse back in because it's not going to be in our way anymore. So the last one is the earth wire. Now, not every piece of equipment you're going to use needs to be earthed. So you're not always going to have that earth wire to wire in. So that makes the job a lot easier. But if it is there, you have to wire it in. So let me just neaten that up a little bit. And again, we can just push that one out to make the job easier. And it's got to go in this way. So we just shape it to where we need it to be. Undo that terminal screw. So we've got enough room to get that in. Again, fiddly. Just poke that in there. You can see that going through, but we don't want it to go all the way through. In fact, this is that's a little bit too long. So I'm just going to unravel that, making a bit of a mess there. And just do that. I'm just going to nip an end off because we don't want that poking through. So I'm just going to nip about 1 millimetre off that. And that should do it. Again, back I go. Squeeze it and give it a couple of twists and we're ready. Okay, so that should be a much better size, much better length. So we're just going to pop that in. That's better. So it's not poking out the other side, but it's completely in. Let's just pull that back through. Oh, there, perfect. Tighten up that little screw, nice and tight. Pop that back into its place, like so. Make sure that one's down as well. Put them in, and that is, that is our wires all in place, nice and neat and tidy. Now we've just got to put the cord grip back on, that way round, obviously. So let's get that back in. Get these two little screws that we've just put to one side. Push that in. Where's my screwdriver? Make sure that comes through. There's one. One on the other side. That's two. Tighten them up nice and tightly so you can see those ends of the screw coming through, and that is nice and holding our wire in place. That's not very neatly done at all, Louise. Let's just tighten that up a little bit more. That's better. See, that's not going anywhere. You can pull that now and you're not going to pull those wires out of those terminals. So that's really nice and safe. And last but not least, we're going to put the top cap on. So we just put that in place, and then you've got that center hole. Get our screw, screw that back in, and that is it. We've got a brand new plug on our wire, all nice and safe and ready to plug in the wall. And there you go, easy as that.